Good morning and welcome back to our Strategic People Management Program. And for today, we are now on Module 6, Recruitment, Selection, and Onboarding. Okay, ano ba itong Recruitment, Selection, and Onboarding? Ito yung next na processes na kailangan nating review at pag-igihan, no? Dahil mahalaga ito dun sa sinasabi natin strategic implementation. Okay? So nauna na natin i-discuss yung first part. Okay? So right after we have determined our strategies, the first step is actually to review whether we have the right organizational structure to be able to implement that strategy effectively. And once we have determined that structure, we have determined the functions that we need in order to perform well in accomplishing the strategy. The next two steps would be to design the jobs and then model the competencies that are required to be able to perform the job excellently. Okay, so tandaan natin, no, ang mahalaga sa dito in making HR strategic, ang mahalaga dito is that we are bringing in the right talents into the organization and making sure that these right talents will perform well. Okay, perform well in terms of achieving the planned performance or the planned strategies. No, so let me just repeat that what I said. No, yung ibig ko sabihin diyan, kung meron kang strategiya, ang mahalaga dito ay na meron kang mga tao sa organization na may kakayanan, hindi lang i-implement yung strategiya, pero may kakayanang i-implement yon ng maigi, ng mahusay. So ito yung kahalagahan ngayon naman ng recruitment, selection, and onboarding. Okay? So matapos nating madetermina kung sino yung nararapat na tao na dapat nating ilagay sa mga posisyon sa ating organization, ang next step is to find them, okay? To find them, to integrate them, prepare them for what they are supposed to do in the organization. So ito yung next three process, yung next three process na napakahalaga. No? If we do this correctly, then the lesser the errors that we will be making as we go along in the implementation of our strategies. Okay? So, pag sinabi natin recruitment, ito isang proseso ng paghahanap o pag-a-attract ng mga tao na sumali sa atin. Yung selection naman, ito yung proseso kung saan pinipili natin among those who were attracted to join us, pinipili natin kung sino sa kanila yung nararapat na ilagay doon sa tungkulin. Okay? And then the last process is yung onboarding. Okay, so karaniwan ito nakakaligtaan yung onboarding na proseso, pero isang mahalagang proseso ang onboarding. Ito yung kapag ka napili mo na yung tao, kailangan merong kang sistema kung paano mo siya maipapasok ng tama doon sa organization. Okay? So, we will discuss this thoroughly, in the next slides. So, kanina nabanggit ko na yung ilang mahalagang punto kung bakit natin kailangan gawin ito ng tama at kung ano yung kahalagahan ng mga prosesong ito. No? So, sabi nga natin kanina, kung gusto ninyong ma-accomplish ang objectives natin, okay, kailangan nandyan yung tamang tao para gawin yun. O gawin yung mga functions na kailangan gawin upang patupad yung o ma-realize at ma-accomplish yung objectives ng tama. Okay? Now, it's also important to bring in the right talents. Okay? Dahil, well, it has something to do also of in motivating people in the organization. Of course, if you hire people who are not performing well, no, it's going to be a drag. No? Ibig sabihin, yun na lagi ang pagtutuunan mo ng pansin, yung performance niya. Okay? Instead of focusing on opportunities, focusing on other strengths, no? So mahalaga dito lahat ng talent natin, no? They are effective and motivated, okay? And bringing in the right people together will help us in accomplishing our objectives better, okay? Now, done properly, it also reduces turnover costs. No, na mabilis mag-resign, okay? Kaya dapat piliin natin na mabuti to reduce the turnover ng mga bagong hirees natin, okay? Then hiring or implementing this process correctly will help managers to become more cost effective. Okay, anong ibig sabihin ng cost effective? Okay? Anong kaibahan niya sa pagiging cost efficient? Okay, pag sinabi natin cost efficient, meaning nakakatipid ka, you tend to spend less, okay? Pero pagka sinabi nating cost effective, meaning kapag gumastos ako, yung kapalit ng gastos na yon ay mas malaki, no? Sabihin lang natin, for example, nag-hire ako ng isang tao na sabihin natin malaki yung sahod niya, okay? So malaki yung sahod, okay. Pero kung yung sahod na yon ay matutumbasan ng mahusay na paggawa nung mga task niya o yung mga expected deliverables niya na magpo-produce ng results for the organization, then it would be easier or it would be more or it would be better to have that kind of person rather than to have a person na lagi mo na lang pinapagalitan dahil di niya tama yung dapat gawin. Okay? So, dito, no, ang tinitingnan natin ay yung kakayanan ng tao upang gawin yung dapat niyang gawin sa organization para magawa yung objectives. Okay? So for example, kung ang objective natin ay recovery, we hire this person. His salary is a little bigger or a little more expensive in terms of his market value. Pero you know that this person can really produce what he says. No? Sabihin natin, itong paong to, pasok natin to. Okay. Baling medyo mas mahal yung sahod niya. Pero we expect that person to perform, okay, to help us in the recovery. And he should, no? So we need to look for that person who would be, in terms of cost effectiveness, would be more effective in terms of achieving the objectives of recovery. Okay? So I hope you're getting what I'm saying, no? So these processes that we have recruitment, selection, and onboarding is just part of the entire process that we're discussing here to help our organization implement the strategies and attain the objectives more effectively. Okay. So now let's go to recruitment. Okay. So when we talk about recruitment, we're talking more about attracting the right talents to join the organization, or attracting the it could be attracting the talents from outside, or even attracting the talents from inside the organization. And when we talk about attracting people to join, to perform a certain task, we're talking about um, the value proposition we have for them. Okay, it's not just about the money. It's not just about the salary. Okay, although it is important. No, sometimes people look for jobs, or of course, more often times people look for jobs because they are considering the financial benefits. Okay, however, it's not always like that, and most of the time it's not just salary that people are looking for. They are also looking for other aspects, other things that would help them decide to join our organization or not. Okay. Ano yung magiging factor o aspeto na magsasabi sa akin, oh, ito yung gusto kong organization na salihan. Okay? So ito, mahalagang itanong natin sa sarili natin. So, ano ba yung dahilan kung bakit gustong sumali ng isang tao dito sa St. Camillus, sa ating organization? Okay? And magandang tanong yan, no? Siguro umpisahan mong sagutin sa iyong sarili, no? Dahil lahat naman tayo dito empleyado, okay? Tanungin mo yung sarili mo. Ikaw na HR, bakit ka ba nandito? Ano yung dahilan at nagustuhan mong sumali at manatili dito sa ating organization? Okay? And most likely that would be also the thing that other people will be looking for. No? So what are the sample value propositions? Okay? Career versus jobs. No? So ibig sabihin, some people apply to a certain organization in order for career development. Okay? So galing ako, dati staff lang ako. Ngayon, gusto kong lumipat, gusto kong maranasan naman maging supervisor. Okay? So I look for a job that would help me or help train me to become a supervisor. No? So I'm not just looking for a job. I'm looking for career development. Okay? That could be one reason why people are looking for jobs. No? So are we offering that to our applicants? Is that something that we can promote as a value that applicants are attracted to? Okay, opportunity to learn. There are certain people who like, aside from of course career development, kakibat niyan yung learning ng tao, no? I would like to become a good HR person. Is this organization providing its people training and development to help them become better at their work, better at their jobs? Okay. So does this organization provide training opportunities, learning opportunities to its employees. No? So, isang bagay din yan tinitingnan ng isang aplikante. Kung di sumali ako dito, marami ba akong matututunan? Okay? Then there is yung brand equity or the image of the company. Ano ba yung image na yan? Okay, so kala natin marketing lang to, brand. Anong dating sa akin? Itong hospital na ito, o itong clinic na ito, o itong organization na ito ay ang mga tao dito magagaling. Magagaling sila sa magbigay ng serbisyo. Masyado silang mapag-aruga. Gusto kong maging parte ng o yung mga taong ito mababait. Currently here are the ones who are projecting it. Okay? So mahalaga din we project the correct image into our public, no, into the public image ng mga institutions natin. Okay? And hopefully it's a positive public image. Then the other factors, nandiyan na yan. Compensation, sabi ko nga, sahod. Okay? Mahalaga din yan dahil siyempre wala namang aplikante na naghahanap ng trabaho kung saan hindi siya kikita. Okay? Ito isa sa mga oftentimes people say na it's not about salary that is attracting people into an organization. That may be correct. It's not just salary, but salary is still important. Okay, in one of the in the many interactions I had with employees in the past, oftentimes I would do certain activities with them, and oftentimes it is always the reason why they are in an organization is because of their always yung meron silang desire for their own and their families, no? So yung iba gusto nila makapagpaaral ng kanilang anak, makapagpatapos, gusto nilang makapag-umpisa ng pamilya, gusto nilang makapagpatayo ng bahay, mapaayos ang kanilang bahay, gusto nilang mag-abroad, gusto nilang gusto nilang guminhawa ang kanilang buhay at makatulong sa kanilang pamilya. Okay? And of course, that will happen if they have work that gets to pay them enough so that these needs are achieved. Okay? So if a person does not feel that this will help him or her in her own personal ambitions or personal motivation, reasons for working, then it would also affect that decision to join or not. Okay? So mahalaga pa rin yung compensation. Personal goals aligned with company goals. Yan, yung sinasabi ko, no? Subukan niyo, tanungin niyo yung mga empleyado ninyo, no? Yung mga kasama ninyo sa trabaho. Bakit ka ba nagtatrabaho? And yun nga, sasabihin nila, karamihan dyan, sasabihin nila para sa pamilya, para makapag-aral ang anak, para makapag-ipon, para sa isang sa mga bagay na gusto nilang mabili, no? Ito ay personal. They have personal goals. They want to achieve those personal goals, and they believe that by working with us, they will be able to attain those personal goals. Okay? The other factors, they like people to work with. They enjoy the environment. They enjoy working and mingling with other workers, no? And the culture is something that also would inspire or would attract people to join our organization. Okay? So siguro yan. Tingnan mo, yung mga tao dyan. Okay? Pag lumalabas yung mga tao dyan sa building, nakangiti ba o nakasimangot? Okay? So pagka nakasimangot, ibig sabihin na nalungkot sila. Kung medyo problemado ang araw nila doon sa trabaho ngayon. So kung araw-araw nakikita mo lumalabas yung taong yan, nakasimangot, nako, may ibig sabihin yan. Okay? Maganda sana yung mga tao natin paglabas ng building, masaya. Okay? Parang fulfilled sila na nakapagtrabaho sila ngayong araw na ito. Yan. So all of these things contribute to that. And all of these things would determine the person, the decision of a person to join or to apply with us. Okay. Now, we talk about strategic recruitment. How the organization decides on who to recruit, where, and how. So that's what we mean by strategic recruitment. When we do our strategic recruitment, okay, of course, we also need to have a recruitment strategy. Okay, so yung recruitment strategy natin will always center on the business strategy. Okay, knowing first the business strategy, and then knowing the talents that are needed to be able to implement that strategy properly. Okay, kasi kung hindi natin na-implement yung strategy properly, then we won't be able to achieve the objectives. No? So, mahalaga dito yung strategy implementation. And to implement that correctly, dapat nandiyan yung tamang tao. Okay? For example, we would like to have a driver. Gusto natin yung driver natin, yung maayos, wala tayong stress, nakakarating tayo sa pupuntahan natin ng safe at sa tamang oras. Okay? So kung ito yung gusto natin mangyari, of course, kailangan natin magaling na driver. And how do we define yung magaling na driver? Okay? Pagka sinabi, yan, doon napapasok yung ating yung competency models. No? So sino ba yung magaling na driver? Magaling na driver, yung marunong siyang, alam niya yung, hindi lang alam yung daan, pero magaling siya sa daan. Ibig sabihin yan, may sense of direction siya. Alam niya kung papunta siya norte, alam niya kung papunta siyang timog, o south, west, yung direction ng patakbo niya. Alam niya kung saan hindi matraffic, alam niya kung saan maayos ang daan. Okay? So, yes, isang katangian yan ng isang magaling driver. Yung isa pa siguro, kapag nasiraan tayo, alam niya kung paano magpalit ng gulong. Okay? So isipin nyo na lang, kung hindi magaling magpalit ng gulong yung driver natin, paano ka makakarating sa iyong paruroonan ng oras, no? Sa tamas ng oras. And at the same time, bakit ka nga ba nasiraan ng gulong? Kung hindi niya na-inspect, of course, these things are the ones, are things that are done by the driver before they travel, before they even use the vehicle. They make sure that it is maintained properly. So, ito yung competency na hanap natin. Okay? So, yung gusto natin mangyari na maayos yung drivers natin. Ngayon, saan natin sila hahanapin? Sourcing. Paano ka maghahanap ng ganun kagaling na driver? Okay. Gusto ko yung magaling sa daan. Yung marunong ng pasikot-sikot dito sa Manila. Okay? Siguro ang magaling na driver ng mga yan, yung mga driver ng taxi. Okay? Yung driver ng taxi, marurunong yan sa mga daan. No? Kasi wala naman silang gamit na Waze. O kaya yung GPS. No? Kapag sinabi mo, gusto pumunta dito, yun, pupunta siya doon. Alam niya kung saan siya dadaan, kung saan hindi matraffic. Okay? And at the same time, siguro mas marunong yan mag-troubleshoot ng sasakyan. Okay? Siyempre, kung yan yung hanap ko, medyo magaling na driver. Okay? So, hanapin ko yung taong yan. Saan ko hanapin? Siyempre, pumunta ako dun sa medyo merong pool. Kumbaga, meron kang mapagkukunan ng mga ganyan. Yun nga. Gusto mong driver? Hanap kang taxi driver. na gustong magtrabaho sa iyo, no? So how do you attract? How do you source them? Okay? So first of all, yung unang step, look for a pool, no? Saan mas maraming driver? Okay? Gusto mo jeepney driver? Yan, hanap ka ng mga jeepney driver. Pero baka malamang yan ay magaling lang sila sa isang rota, no? Baka maaari silang magaling sa troubleshooting, magmekaniko, no? Dahil mga jeep madalas masiraan. So, subukan mo yung jeepney driver. Pero kung yung objective mo is makarating ka ng tama sa iyong destinasyon ng maigi, ng mabilis, ng yung nakakapag isip ng rota na gagamitin niya, mas magiging qualified ang mga taxi drivers. Okay? Or kung gusto mo yung medyo, kung ang gusto mo yung medyo mas maalaga, okay? Hahanap ka ng mga may karanasan na sa mga say driving in hotels or driving for tourist yung mga tourist yung mga tours, no? Yan yung mga pwedeng mong i-source, okay? So ang punto ko dito, if you know the talent that you're looking for, then you will know where to source them. Okay? You will know where to find them. Kung saan nandun yung mas marami. Okay? And if you know where to find them, then the next step would be to select. Sino dyan yung pipiliin ko? Okay? O paano ko makukuha yung mga taong kailangan ko talaga? Okay? And yung selection process would definitely involve yung una nating ginawa na competency modeling. Okay? Now, the goal of recruitment is to predict future performance. Okay. Again, ulitin ko, predict future performance. Ibig sabihin yan, we're looking at a good performer. Okay? So when you recruit, you already have in your mind kung ano ang itsura ng isang good performer. Okay? If I'm looking for a cook, then nasa utak ko na o naiisip ko na itong hinahanap ko ay masarap magluto. Okay? At dapat hindi lang masarap magluto, mahusay sa kusina. Alam niya kung paano i-organize ang kusina, alam niyang i-manage yung kusina at yung mga bagay na kanyang linuluto. Okay? So, bago ka pa mag-recruit, ibig sabihin, bago ka pa mag-recruit, dapat nasa isip mo na yan. Okay? So that when you start to recruit, you recruit those who will most likely excel in the job that they are to be performing, that they are to perform. Okay? Then the next goal is to find the right person for the job. Those who will most likely shine in a particular position. Okay? Yung nahanap mo yung pinakamagaling. Yung nahanap mo yung may potensyal na mas maging magaling doon sa trabaho nais mong ipagawa. Okay? And what will help you determine that? Again, the competency model. So what are the common recruitment sources? Okay? Common recruitment sources, walk-in. Okay? So ngayon, hindi pwede walk-in dahil pandemic. So, hindi ka pwede mag-advertise sa dyaryo o sa mga bulletin boards and ask them to go to you and submit a resume. No? So, wala tayong ganyan ngayon, okay, so during pandemics. Siguro, yung walk-ins ngayon is more of electronic. No? So, magsasubmit sila ng application through our website or application through our Facebook page. No? Yun, siguro yung makukonsider nating walk-in. They walk in by submitting unsolicited application forms. Okay? Other recruitment sources is through advertisements. So, we post advertisements. No? So, ngayon, digital na tayo lahat ngayon. So, most likely, you'll be posting through Facebook, through Indeed, through LinkedIn, through Best Jobs, through whatever other job applications, no? Job search applications that you tend to use. Ako, I use Indeed and Facebook. Okay? Pero depende yan, no? If I'm looking for, normally, if I'm looking for workers, no? Yung mga cooks, drivers, okay? Bihira yan sa Indeed. Bihira din yan sa mas bihira yan sa LinkedIn, no? So, Facebook, okay? Pagka nahanap ko ay managers, okay? I'll go to LinkedIn. If I'm looking for technical expertise, I'll go to LinkedIn, okay? Or even to Indeed, okay? So Indeed, yung mga other positions could also be found there, okay? Other advertisement options would be, meron din sa Facebook, okay? You go to Facebook, you look for the professional associations or the group pages of these certain professionals. Like for example, nurses. O sali ka dun sa nursing groups, okay? So maraming nursing groups. So pwede kang mag-join doon, and then kapag may gusto kang i-post, no? I-post mo doon yung advertisement, okay? If you're looking for sabihin natin, if you're looking for a social worker, saan ka makakahanap ng social worker para mag-advertise, no? Ganun din, punta ka sa Facebook page or Facebook groups ng mga social workers, okay? Or you can advertise dun sa there's this groups, no? Yung mga development groups that trying to attract certain talents, no? May mga technical skills, okay? Who are working in the NGO sector, okay? Schools can be a recruitment source, okay? Schools, partnership with schools. Kailangan natin ng nurses. That could be a possibility that you could partner with the school who offers, who provides, sabihin natin siguro yung, like for example, yung ginagawa ng Calbayog, as I understand it, no, you have tie-ups with itong mga review schools, okay? So pwedeng gawing strategy din yan, no? Magandang strategy din yan na you tie up with these review schools and allow these review schools to let you siguro attract those students that they have, okay? So that's a possible pool of talents. Nurseries, ang ibig sabihin ng nurseries is, well, most likely mga ganun din. Pareho lang din, almost pareho lang din schools, no? These are places where certain people are trained, no? Siguro pwede din dyan yung mga TESDA training centers, no? These could be nurseries where certain talents are trained. For example, for bookkeeping. Kung papunta ka dun sa mga TESDA schools that offer bookkeeping and advertise there, no? Or ask for their help to find you a person who would be available for the job, okay? Or would be good for the job. Leadership pipelines. So, well, when we talk about leadership pipelines, ito yung mga it actually is coming from different organizations. You're looking for the right leader to join your organization. And you have these middle leaders, middle managers who are, of course, who have potentials of moving further up into the leadership ladder. And you would like to attract them, okay? Or that's even within the organization. So within our organization, there are certain persons in the organization who are most likely or have the potentials of becoming leaders. And so you look for that in the organization. Then headhunters. So you find people who headhunt, no? Yung headhunters, di ba, yung namumugot ng ulo. Kaya hindi yun, no? You don't look for that. You look for people who look for talents, no? Yan yung term, yung ibig sabihin ng headhunters, no? Ito yung mga taong naghahanap ng mga talents for you. Okay? So that's also a recruitment strategy, okay? Now sourcing the desired talents. Okay. There are four ways of sourcing these talents according to uh, Joma de Guzman. Okay, so either you buy, build, borrow, bounce, or bind. Okay, so ano yan? Ano yung buy, build, borrow, bounce, or bind? Okay, so when you buy, you bring in the talent from outside. Okay, pero that comes with a premium. Ibig sabihin, hindi naman ito yung tipong namamigrate ka, no? Dito yung pirating. Ibig sabihin yan, you found a good talent from outside, okay? Probably they just resigned, or they're looking for a career development. You know that they're looking for a job. Then you go in and try to attract them to come into your organization. Okay, that's buying the talent. Building the talent, it means you growing them from inside. You are preparing someone for a future leadership position. So this is a parang you're teaching them, you're training them for the purpose of promoting them in some future time. Okay. Borrowing means contracting. Okay. So you borrow people from another organization. So ito yung mga outsourcing. You outsource certain processes in your organization. Sabi natin, accounting department. O pwedeng wala na tayo accounting department. Kuha na lang tayo ng business process outsourcing group. Okay. Hindi na natin kailangan ng mga laundry din ngayon. No? So, kuha na lang tayo ng ng isang professional laundry company to do our laundry. So you borrow those talents from the other company by contracting them. Okay. Bounce. Bouncing is making room for new talents. No? So it's when you move talents around the organization in order to train them, no? to prepare them for some future position or task. And then you bind. Okay, binding means that you have this talent in your organization and you don't want that talent to leave. Okay, you bind that person so that they will stay with you. Okay. Now, there are these considerations when designing a sourcing strategy. Okay, when you grow a talent from within the organization, this is most likely, siguro sabi natin, nagtitipid ka, so you just want to grow your talent. No? You hire a fresh graduate, then wait for that fresh graduate to become a good manager or a good performer in the organization. So it's slow. It actually costs lower because simply you're paying a neophyte, a fresh graduate, or a person with hardly any experience. Of course, their value would be low. To do something that is natin more advanced than they are, the skills nila. No? So you'd save on cost. Okay, but of course you cannot expect really good performance. So this is easy. Ibig sabihin, maraming fresh graduate yan na gustong matuto. Okay? You like to apply for a job. Ito yung mas madaling hanapin. Okay? And the risk, well, I might not agree with this one, pero they say the risk is lower if you grow your talent. Pero there is, of course, the factor then, if you grow your talent, you might, depende yan dun sa pinapagawa mo na job. Okay? If you expect this job or this position to be the one performing well and you're growing your talent there, then you run the risk of failure, okay, or risk of delaying the accomplishment of your objectives. Okay, so think about it. No, before you grow talents, be sure that you're growing talents in positions that are not highly critical to strategy implementation. Okay, so it has to be something that you can manage that risk of growing certain talents in the organization. Okay. Buying talent from outside, you hire for replacements. Okay, you let someone else, no, you buy your talents. I mean, You bring in someone from outside, okay, who has the expertise to perform that job. It will be fast, of course, because you don't need to train them. They already have all of the sets of competencies that you need to be able to perform well. Okay? However, that comes with a premium. Okay? Ibig sabihin, mas mahal yung mga talent na yan. Of course, you're bringing in their expertise. Not just their expertise, you're bringing in their network. Yung mga kakilala nila. Importante din yun, no? When you select someone, especially in jobs that are critical to your strategy implementation. Okay, so for example, you're thinking of a marketing strategy, you're boosting your marketing department, you hire the best marketing person, regardless of the cost. That cost should be equaled by the deliverables that this talent should be able to do for you. Okay, so that's one example. No? So yung downside naman dito, of course, it's very difficult to find the right talent. Very difficult. Why? Because you're looking for a certain set of skills, no? Na kailangan mo. And of course, yung price. No? You have to be able to compete with the price of such talent. Okay? Because the more talented a person is, the value of that person naturally goes up as well. Okay? Not unless that person is volunteering in a non-profit organization, then that's good. Okay. However, if we're talking about commercial or business engagements, of course, good talents in business they come with a price. Okay. Borrow, this is parang ito yung outsourcing, no? So you outsource certain talents from other locations or from other companies. Okay, it is fast, and also the cost is higher. Okay, because it's not only the employee that you might be paying, but you're also paying for the organization where you're borrowing this employee. Okay, so it's limited because normally it would be project based or contract based. No. When you talk about transformation, you transform a talent from within. It's just like growing a talent. Okay. Pero in transformation, you already have this talent within, but you would like that talent to be able to perform other tasks or perform other functions so that at any given time you can assign them anywhere that they are needed. Okay. So this entails transformation or building up certain talents in the organization, already talented people, but exposing them or providing them experience in other aspects of the work. Okay. Now we go to selection tools. Now, how do we choose? How do we select? There are different ways of selecting people, no? Or selecting the talents that we need. Okay, we could use application forms. We can use work samples, tests, observations, questionnaires, focused interviews, and assessment centers. Okay. Now, of course, depende kung ano yung klaseng position or competency that you are trying to screen. Okay. So if you're trying to look for an accountant, okay, aside from application form, you might want to test them in terms of their accountancy skills. No, so you have an accountancy test. Okay. Or if you're hiring a writer, of course you need to have them show their examples. No, can you show me a sample of your writing examples? No, written materials that you published or submitted to someone else. No, so that you could determine whether this is the right person for you to hire. Okay. For service personnel, no, like nurses, of course, there are certain skills or competencies that are required for nurses. Okay, so perhaps all nurses would know the basic skills of nursing. Okay, pero isang importante din natin consider that they are relating to clients. They're also relating to customers that we have. Okay, so what would be their attitudes? What would be the values that they carry with them? Okay, ito bang mga nurses na ito masusungit? Ito ba yung walang patience in handling very stubborn or very annoying patients. Okay? So you need to screen that. Kailangan makita ito bang taong to ay mahusay magbigay ng serbisyo o meron ba siyang history na hindi maganda in handling certain situations. Okay? So yung mga yan, you can use either use questionnaires or focused interviews. So later I'll be sharing with you a model, no? Or you could use assessment centers, no? So sa atin hindi yan uso, no? Assessment centers are those that do the assessment for you and then tell you ito yung pinaka best talent for you. Okay? Now in the selection methods, in correlation with job performance, though may tendency yung mga assessment centers to provide you with people who perform better. Okay, of course, pero that is that's something that we are into right now. Okay, so the next best thing would be through behavioral interviews. Okay, so yung behavioral interviews, we talk to first to the applicant and give him certain situations relevant to the work and find out how he would behave or how he would respond to certain situations. Okay, so those kinds of interviews are more likely to screen out or screen in the right talent for that job. Okay, work samples are next. No, siguro for mga office workers who have who do certain writing or computing skills, no, or technical skills, no, dapat may mga certain work samples sila na i-submit. Okay, of course makikita mo doon sa work samples nila whether it's good or not. Okay, so for example, you're looking for someone who has who should have a talent in photography and photo editing. So, syempre, hindi mo na makikita yan sa interview. So, magaling ka bang photographer? Opo. Okay, sige, hired ka na. No, hindi ganon. So, pagka he's applying for that kind of job that has that skill, you look for example. So, can you show me any photographs that you have taken or any website that you have developed? Okay, then let me take a look and let me be the judge for that. Tingnan ko kung ito ba yung na maganda ba, mahusay ba ang pagkakagawa. Okay. Ability tests, personality test, biodata, medyo mas mababa na yan. No? Ako personally, I do not do the personality test anymore. Okay, so, but there are certain industries that require that, yung personality test. Okay, and it's still important, no? Pero it's not like what this survey is saying is that it's not necessarily in terms of performance better determinant. Okay, so the better determinant of performance are those ability tests, work samples, behavioral interviews. Now, when we talk about competency-based assessment, when we are assessing our applicants, okay, it says here, this is the process of identifying those candidates that can exclude those behavioral or those behaviorally defined characteristics which underpin successful superior performance in the role you are recruiting. Okay, so when we talk about competency-based assessment, it assesses the candidates based on the competency requirements set forth by the role. So, like I said, for you to effectively perform this recruitment process and assessment selection process, then you need to have that competency model. Okay. So in the going back to competency models, no? So sa competency model, dapat na-determine mo na dyan yung core competencies na kailangan. Okay? What are the organizational needs? Or what are the when you talk about core competencies, these are competencies that should be shared by everyone in the organization. Okay? So, for example, dito sa atin, sa St. Camilo's, everybody in the organization should have that value of service with heart in our hands. Ibig sabihin, we go beyond just offering yung standard or basic services. No, we go beyond that. Okay, we make them feel that they are well taken care of, as if they are being taken care of by a long-time friend or a family member, okay, that really cares for them. Okay, so these core competencies should be aligned with the values and strategies of the company. Then there are the functional competencies and interpersonal competencies. Okay, so the functional competencies, these are the more technical, and they are needed for you to perform the work properly. Okay, so you don't hire an accountant who does not know how to use the Excel, MS Excel. Okay, or you do not hire a social media person who does not know how to use a computer. Okay, so these are functional skills or competencies that are needed for a particular job, okay, or for a particular position. The interpersonal skills, these are behavioral and attitude skill, behavioral manifestations or attitudes of a person. Okay, so ano ba ang klaseng interpersonal skill ang kailangan natin for a front desk person? So dapat yung front desk natin is medyo magaling makipag-usap, magaling makipag-relate, alam niyang i-handle yung medyo mga makukulit at mga aggravated na mga kamag-anak, no? So yon ay interpersonal, okay? Now, what are the other uses of competencies? Ito, gusto ko lang i-emphasize dito yung kahalagaan ulit ng competency model. Okay? Yung competency model, hindi lang natin yan gagamitin sa recruitment. Gagamitin din natin yan sa total rewards. Gagamitin din natin yan sa learning and development. Gagamitin natin sa performance management, succession planning, and career pathing and development. Okay? So, kung hindi pa ninyo nagawa yung competency model, I suggest you start doing the competency model for the positions that you have been assigned to. Okay? So that is important. Now, of course, you need to do that for all positions in the organization. However, I suggest that you start first with the critical positions that are needed by our institutions. Okay? So that we can move forward later into the other aspects of the HR process, okay? Because you won't be able to do the other aspects if you have not started your competency model. What are the advantages of a competency-based assessment? Okay. Itong ginagawa natin recruitment selection is all based on competency, okay? And it is more effective in attaining our objectives. Okay, so important that you do it. It provides structure to the selection process. It enables the hiring of people with the right competencies, and it helps assess the candidates based on their strengths and weaknesses. Okay, so mahalagang meron ka nito before you start recruiting. Now, let me go through this yung STAR approach. Ano ba yung STAR approach? This is one way of siguro screening or interviewing a person. Okay? Dito sa STAR approach, ano ba yung STAR? Situation, task, action, results. Okay, so yan yung abbreviation ng STAR. Situation, task, action, results. Okay, so you begin with a situation. What was the situation? Then, what was the purpose? Then, what did you do? And what was the outcome? Okay, so this is a format of interviewing or getting to know an applicant. Okay, so you ask for certain um, situations, no, that he might have been in. Why did it happen? What was the purpose of this situation, or what was the purpose of the things that he was doing for that? What did he do in that situation, or what actions did he take? How did he respond to that situation? And what were the outcomes? What happened afterwards? Okay. So when you engage in a conversation in an interview, this is the best way of finding out um, what the person would most likely do in certain situations. So when you design a questionnaire, or when you design an interview question format, it is always good to follow a STAR approach. No? Meron kang mag-identify ka na kung ano yung mga situations, okay, that you will ask, and then how do you go about with that questions, no? So, siguro ito yung magiging isang assignment natin. Siguro, isa sa mga magiging assignment natin, determine some situation questions that you can ask a person applying for the position that you are working on in this course. Okay? So kung nurse yan, mag-isip ka ng mga situationers, so situations or cases, okay, that had challenged nurses in the past. Okay? And then you make a question out of that, as if you're questioning an interviewee. Okay? Have you ever encountered a situation wherein this happened? Okay, and then you move on to that. Questioning. Okay, a competency-based assessment question. Okay, so tell us about the time you had to adjust your communication approach to suit a particular audience. This is an example. Okay. Please share with us an experience of yours in delivering bad news and what has been the result. Okay, so mga open-ended questions ito, no? So not answerable by yes or no. Okay, so these are open-ended questions you ask the applicant so that you can assess the communication ability of the person. Okay, so best practices in this approach. Okay, first, calibrate a calibration meeting between the hiring manager and the recruitment team. Okay. When you say calibration meeting, makipag-usap muna kayo kung sino yung nangangailangan ng posisyon na yan o ng tao na yan, ng talent na yan. Okay? Ano yung mga expectations and ano yung mga most likely scenarios that he or she will be working on. Okay? Then focus on developing the appropriate sourcing channels based on the business needs. Next is to assess the talents based on the competencies needed by the position and by the company, taking into consideration the present and the future. Okay, let me emphasize also the future. Mahalaga ang future needs ng ating organization. So in the future, ano yung nakikita niyo yung direction nitong talent ito? Determine what talents are needed for the position, present and future, and take into consideration diversity, multiculturalism, and inclusion. Ano ibig sabihin yan? When hiring a talent, you are also determining whether this talent will fit into our organization. Okay? So, well, there are certain people who find it difficult fitting in to certain organizations. Okay? Especially tayo, we are a non-profit organization. We have certain cultural certain leanings, no? Ito yung, especially we are a religious organization, okay? And when we talk about multiculturalism, okay, for example, you're hiring, for example, you're in the Visayas or in Mindanao, you're hiring someone from Luzon to come in, no, to the organization. There are certain cultural factors that most likely will be observed, or there are the cultural differences that could be observed, and you need to consider that when you're taking in that person. Okay, take into consideration, create an exceptional candidate experience. Okay, anong ibig sabihin ng creating an exceptional candidate experience? When we say creating an exceptional candidate experience, what we're talking about is that yung taong to ay most likely he will, pagka nakapasok na siya, nakita na niya, na-experience na niya yung working environment niya, he would like to stay in that organization. Okay? So, kadalasan, meron ka ng kinuha, minsan pagka nakuha mo na, after a few weeks, magde-decide ng umalis. Because he had a bad a bad experience with siguro with dealing with the environment. Okay, so you need to plan that also, plan that as well, because that would help that person integrate into the organization, which leads me to onboarding. Okay, so when we talk about onboarding, this is the process that helps integrate the new hirees into the organization. So it's a transition. Okay, this person coming in from a different culture, a different work organization or work culture, you're taking that person into this new organization. There has to be some sort of a process there, no? Because siyempre dala-dala niya yung hindi lang niya dala-dala yung mga sarili niyang talents, of course, especially kung galing siya sa ibang organization na matagal na siya nagtatrabaho doon. Dala-dala din niya yung kanyang certain cultural practices doon siguro, yung certain attitudes, dala-dala rin niya. So, kailangan natin consider yun at tulungan siyang mag-blend in dito sa bagong kultura. Okay? So, done effectively, it reduces failure rates, it increases employee engagement and retention. So, kung maayos mong gagawin ito, then the higher the possibility that this person will stay. Okay? Now, this is not just orientation. Hindi lang ito pag-orient. No? So, hindi mo lang ito tatawagin yung candidate o yung new employee. Sit down and I will tell you everything about the organization. Hindi lang yan orientation. Okay? It is a process. And this is not just done by the HR person or the HR managers. Okay? This has to involve the supervisor or the manager of the department where that person is assigned. Okay, so it has to be some sort of a program or a process that helps introduce the person to the organization and understand the work environment better so that he can work more easily or adjust more easily into this new environment. Okay, and it does not take just a few hours. It could run for a number of days or even weeks or even a month. Okay? So mahalaga, very critical yung first few days, first few weeks, and first month ng isang bagong employee. So there has to be some sort of program or process that would help this person integrate into the organization. Of course, the very basic would be to introduce the new employee to fellow employees, and give a background of the organization, etc. But what else should be there? Okay, so you have to help that person understand the business. Okay, you have to help that person know how things work in the organization. Okay, so syempre hindi niya alam yan. Okay, so saan siya kakain? Kanino siya lalapit kapag may ganitong problema? Sino yung kakausapin niya kapag may ganitong sitwasyon? Paano niya i-resolve yung mga certain tasks na kailangan niyang gawin? Okay? He or she has to know those things. Okay? And facilitate or help employees to establish yung work relationships. So, Siyempre, minsan, meron diyang maka-encounter siya na hindi sila magbe-blend in well. Dapat na-obserbahan mo rin yan. Okay? And you know how to manage certain people in the organization. Okay? And yung kultura, ano yung mga cultural practices na kailangan niyang tandaan or gawin din. Okay? So the objective would be to give the employee a good employee experience at the start of his work life in your company or in this company. Okay? So mas maganda yung experience na yan, we reduce the possibility or the risk of that person leaving immediately. Okay? So in the onboarding process, no, you orient, you introduce, you instruct, and then you observe that person, how he does it. Then you need to coach. Coaching. Every mistake, every uncertainty, every bad feedback is a moment to coach. Or bad or good feedback is a moment to coach. Okay? And then follow through. Following through means hindi mo pinapabayaan yung bagong employee. As HR persons, we observe these new employees, find out how they are doing at the start, in the middle, and right before they become a permanent workers. How are they doing? Okay. And also getting feedback from their managers, and then guiding both the employee and the manager on things to do. Okay. So you work with the supervisor or manager and calibrate the onboarding process together, because this is something that you are not solely responsible of. Okay. You have to share this responsibility with the hiring manager or the person supervising that new employee. Okay. So successful practices for managers: first, understand the new employee challenges, accelerate their learning, make them part of the team. Malagang maging parte sila ng team. Okay? They don't feel they are part of the team, then they won't engage. If they don't engage, then we won't be able to fully utilize their talents. Okay? Connect them with stakeholders. Make sure that they get to meet people, okay, and important people in the organization as well. Give them direction. Help them gain early wins. Ibig sabihin yan, every time they do something good, make sure that they get that you recognize that performance. Okay? Kahit man lang congratulatory note o kahit kausapin mo siya, okay, maganda yung ginawa mo. Okay? Then coach them for success. Ibig sabihin, you guide them through their especially kapag kabago, you guide them through the work that they're supposed to do. Okay? And helping them integrate into the organization. Okay, so what are we supposed to do now? Okay, so after this one, in our next meeting, hopefully you submit this. No? So you considering the positions that were assigned to you in the previous module. Okay, develop a recruitment, selection, and onboarding strategy for that position. Okay. So before you do that, you review first the current existing practices. Of course, tingnan mo muna, ano ba yung ginagawa natin sa recruitment? Ano ba yung ginagawa natin sa selection and onboarding of this position? Okay. Then, after writing, alam nyo, mas makakatulong if you write it down. Okay? Because kung iisipin mo lang, hindi mo makikita yan lahat. You write it down. I always encourage people to write things down so that you'll see it better if it's written down. And I suggest you don't write it down on a computer. You start off with a scratch paper and you write down, or a notebook, you write down these things on that notebook, and then analyze it there, okay? Draw some insights, and then create a better one, a better version, okay? One that would help us implement our strategies and attain our objectives. Okay, so So when doing this assignment, what I'd like you to do, yeah, this is basically what you do in the review part. Okay. So when you review, what is it about the organization that makes it attractive to talents? Where are the desired talents sourced from? What methods are used in selecting prospective candidates? How do you integrate talents into the organization, and what challenges does your organization have to deal with the process of recruiting, selecting, and onboarding desired talents? Okay. So if you're working on the nurses, what is it about the organization that makes it attractive to nurses? What are the desired talents? Where are the desired nurses sourced from? What methods are used in selecting nurses, prospective nurses? And how do you integrate nurses into the organization? And what challenges does your institution have to deal with in the process of recruiting, selecting, and onboarding nurses? Okay, so just an example. So if you're working on the medical technologies, if you're working on the manager supervisors, okay, so you go through all these questions to help you review it. Then, saka kayo magsulat nung better version nito. Okay? So when you talk about processes and challenges, you write the processes and challenges in each column. No? So what are the processes and challenges in recruitment? What are the process and challenges in selection? What's the process and challenges on onboarding? Okay. So that's it. I'll be expecting the submission of your assignments anytime next week, and before we discuss about recruitment. Okay. So that will be all. And thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. And I hope that I was able to provide you some helpful inputs in the recruitment, selection, and onboarding process. Thank you very much and see you next module.